This is where the fun begins.
What kept you?
The fate of the galaxy is now in your hands. With the new LEGO Star Wars Slave One, you can load Captain Solo, arm your weapon systems, man the cockpit, and take off with the most feared ship in the galaxy. But watch out for rebel ships. No matter the enemy, no matter the firepower, you control the action. With the new LEGO Star Wars collection.
There we go. So I went through a whole, there we go. I was muted. I don't know why it stayed muted. That was weird. That was weird. All right. So good morning again. I got it. Hey, Damajani. I don't know why it stayed muted after that. That was weird. There we go. Yes, there we go. So good morning. I'm so happy to be here with you guys for Thursday morning coffee chat. And it's a pleasure to see everybody here waiting and chatting, saying good morning as well. And first of all, I can't find any of my Star Wars. I'm like, well, they're put up in the cupboard. I'm a shorty. I didn't feel like climbing and pulling mugs out. So I don't have a Star Wars coffee mug right with me, but I have a couple of Hooters. So thought it would be fitting since we are going to talk about sex in Star Wars today for cringe factor. You know, bringing out the Hooters. If you guys know my sense of humor. There we go. So let's go ahead and see who is in here and saying hello before we get into the topics. The other topic is about clone trooper lore or Clone Wars, but particularly the clone troopers. I've been having interesting conversations over the last couple of days regarding the clone troopers and inhibitor chip and all of that, and the direction that Disney took them versus what they were really meant to be in the real lore, which is George Lucas era of Star Wars. And so I wanted to go and talk about that. I've asked people on my YouTube community on Twitter to share their favorite moments of the clones. And a lot of you guys shared clips from the games, which is cool because I haven't played the games. I used to be a gamer. I haven't played in a very long time, so I'm not very familiar with a lot of Star Wars games because of that. When I got into junior high and high school, I stopped playing games. I got into band. I played the clarinet. I did a lot of shit, you guys. I was part of the art clubs, you know, and then I was on the dance team, competition team as well. And yeah, so I did a lot of crap. So, and that took more of my time. So I wasn't able just to sit down and just nerd out and play games because on top of that was my studies and all that. And yeah, so rehearsals, all of that. So there's a little interesting fact about OG Star Wars here. And I'm just hanging out here in my sweats today. It's one of those days. It's very casual. The weather's cooling down here where I live. And I just feel too damn comfortable to get out of sweats today. And so here you go. So Keely has been in here from the beginning. Good morning. Hey, everybody. Good morning. And good morning to you. So again, you guys, what are you drinking this morning? What's in your mug? James Unchained with a big old grin. Hello. David Chilson. In my opinion, all the new droids in Andor look like air conditioning units. I'm not watching. I have watched a review, someone's review on that, but I haven't paid attention to the droids whatsoever. So I'll take you on that. So let's see here. B reminds me of Wall-E. So are you talking about BB-8? That guy's annoying. That little thing is annoying. I love R2D2. That little one is trying to be an R2D2, which is annoying. The Fractured Filter says, good morning, everyone, and good morning to you, and cheers. Let's see here. Yeah, I know. Wasn't that funny? That stayed muted. That was weird. That was, it usually unmutes after it's done with all the intros and all that stuff. That was just weird. Let's see here. Who am I missing here? I scrolled past where I wanted to be. Demajanai, good morning. Hail chat, he says. Stephen is here as well. Hello. Hey, OG. Nazo, hello. How are you doing? And good morning to you as well. Yeah. And so part of, if you guys haven't been in Coffee Chat for a while, I have a segment in my Coffee Chat called Cringe Factor. And that's where I review these shitty articles and their takes, which we can laugh at, we can discuss, we can cringe at, or whatever. But some of these articles, that if you notice these shill article sites, there's a pattern to them. You'll notice that they'll say something about the company, and then later the company does say something, pertaining to that. And oh shit. And so there's some kind of we know there's some kind of like something in tandem with each other. Like, I don't know, it's hard to, it just shows evidence. I'm trying to say it shows evidence that the direction they're going, their intentions and stuff like that. So crazy how they can use these shill sites to broadcast stuff that maybe people don't pay attention to. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. Kind of early morning for me. David says good morning to everybody as well. Beaumont, hey OG, have you read the MedStar books? Yes, I did. Yes. I want to go back and read them, but now I want to read the Commando series, but since I've been focusing on the Clone Troopers, and like Darth Vader, right? Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader isn't necessarily one of them, but it goes into how the Clone Troopers respond, how they responded to Order 66, how some of them couldn't do it. However, they gave ultimatum to their Jedi and told them, if we come across you again, we do have to kill you. So very interesting. And there's no chip involved. No chip involved. Let's see here. And Stig Kenobi's in the house. How are you doing? Hello there. Let's see here. And he says, the Clone Troopers are just yet another casualty of the idiot Filoni not being able to learn Star Wars lore. Sadly, retardanoids or retardandos cheered on. I put noids. I really just reworded that. Let's see here. Send in the clones. Yeah. And Matt G, hello. How are you doing? Glad to have you here. And yes, we need all the coffee. Like my thumbnail to this, it says we may need a stronger drink. So again, that's just part of my humor. So I'm feeling quite well. I'm feeling quite enthusiastic and fun today. Fracture Filter says, I got black coffee that's vanilla nut cream. Very good. Awesome. Mine is just regular coffee. And it has a little bit of peppermint mocha creamer in there. So a little bit of holiday kind of ish, if you want to say peppermint mocha is more holiday than anything else. Batsy Universe, hello. I've been looking forward to this. Yeah. And I also have the clip from Attack of the Clones on standby as well. So we will get into that. Let's see here. And Jackson, I knew Disney Lucasfilm design sense was shot 10 seconds into the sequels. It's quite funny. It's just like, you got to laugh at all this shit now. You got to laugh at all the direction that they're taking Star Wars. You just got to, at the point, you just got to laugh now. It's never going to be the way it used to be. We can't have that back, because of the direction, like even Hollywood is indoctrinating towards like filmmakers and stuff like that. So we just got to laugh at the direction, and our sanity is just staying within the era of Star Wars that we love. And that's George Lucas' era of Star Wars. And just revisiting that, reading, watching, talking about it with each other. That's what my channel is about. And that's what my YouTube community is about. Talking about it with each other. Even if, all of us are going to have things we like within that, and we'll agree. And then some of us will like stuff that are completely different than the other. And that's okay. That's how big and broad Star Wars is. under George Lucas. I think B was the servant droid Andrew's mom owns. Oh, I had no idea. I had no idea. And first of all, I forgot to announce the poll is open. And I'm going to go ahead and open up my screen on my other computer here to read you guys the stats so far. So it'll stay open for about an hour. So since we started, so about 10:10, maybe 10 o'clock, 10:10 my time, I'll take it down. So get your vote in. Get your vote in. Astromac right now is at 0. These are the top 4 that everybody, shared with me when I asked about this. HK series, Assassin Droids, is at 75%. IG series is at 25%. And Droidicas, which I'm surprised, is at 0%. So get your vote in. Get your vote in, and it's going on for an hour. So as you come in, vote, hit the like button, and maybe share what you like about that type of droid that you voted for in the chat. And maybe I'll have time to get to it, and we'll go from there. So there we go. So let's see here, and who is popping in here. Laugh out cringe factor. That's accurate, correct. And we have a channel member here, Tuscan Bob. How are you doing? I'm being brainwashed as youths is not enough of an excuse, so they had to make it so stupid mechanical thing. Make it a stupid mechanical thing. Yes, that's a thing. And many people told me with the clones that the chip made it believable. But then my thing is, and I like to make people think, when the chip was introduced, it made the Camiones, if I'm butchering it, oh wow, less brilliant, because they went in and they used their technology, their advanced technology, and their brilliance to create these clones that were basically, they say docile and will take command without question. And they did that by genetically modifying them. Shows their brilliance, and they took that away from them. Nick says, still bugs me to no end that they introduced the inhibitor chip into the clones, making them no better than organic droids. Correct. So let's see here. Okay. Good morning to you, James Clark. How are you doing? Stig says, hey, Laura, are you finally using a proper mouse? I can hear the clicking. Yeah, it's this here. I got to get the pad for it. So it's on the little table I have here. Let's see here. My favorite clone moments are ARC Troopers and Clone Wars micro series. Yeah, that's another thing. I wanted to plan a watch party for Tartakovsky's Clone Wars. I need to figure that one out. So if anybody's down for a watch party, maybe come this later fall or in the wintertime, hit me up or let me know. Not hit me up, but just let me know, because if I have people come in and want to do that with me, then we can chat about it in the chat while we watch or whatever. We'll figure this out. Ken Rod's coffee break. Well, hello. Hello from Texas. What is the coffee of the day? I picked up a cool Yoda coffee mug at Goodwill for $1.99. Awesome. Well, my coffee basically of the day right now is just a brew, regular brew, and I have peppermint mocha in there. Just a little bit of peppermint mocha just to kind of spice things up. Yeah. James Clark says, hail, Stig. All right, let's see here. Yeah. The chat, you guys are just at it today. Andy Kare is here. Good afternoon, all. So afternoon, all. And yes, how are you doing? And I'm, okay, they're chatting with each other. And then Stick says Star Wars can't get fixed as long as anything Disney has made so far in canon. Disney will never decanonize it. It won't happen. So the franchise is dead, plain and simple. I don't see it as dead. Like they're expanding on their own, and the company's doing what they want. I don't necessarily see it dead, because dead means that, you know, all the stuff that I have no longer exists and stuff. I have Star Wars and it exists. Yeah, there's not going to be no more of what I like that used to be pre-Disney, but to me, it's still very much alive. Every time I pick up a book, every time I watch a show or a movie that I like, you know, like Tartakovsky's Clone Wars or episode 6 or whatever. So that's how I see that. Whoops, I meant to keep this up. Jackson says the chip allowed them to develop unaware of their original sin. They didn't have no sin. There's no such thing as a sin, like per se in Star Wars, so to speak. It was hardwired, so they there was no resisting it once activated. Hate me, but that's what my inner philosophy prefers. It's fine if you like something and like the chip, and you know make a headcanon from it. That's fine. I mean, but in reality, do we really have to write it for the writers? Like, that's my question. You know, it breaks lore. And I'm going to play the video here pretty soon and we'll go into more discussion. I asked some of you guys, and I'm going to show a clip, a conversation from Twitter, and all this stuff. So it's just getting in, just discussing this, what we prefer, all this, just creating conversation into the lore, further into the clone trooper lore as well. So another comment on the Andor series: whoever designed the security police costumes is a fan of University of Florida sports teams. Oh my God. Okay, so we're not necessarily talking about Andor, but that cracks me up. What the hell? I don't know. I'm like, I'm not interested in the series, but I want to see an image now. Oh, I'm lucky I didn't take a dream. The UF's team colors are orange and blue. Wonder. And okay, so the security police costumes are the security police in Star Wars. Are they imps? Because you think by then, since you're just 5 years, you're at 5 BBY, that any type of police force is now inserted by the Emperor for any kind of system or planet, because that's what he did. He went in, when you go into look into the lore, the EU, he went in and still kept the Senate, still kept the you know, like the Senate and the people who like Bail Organa and Mon Mothma and stuff like that. So the senates of the systems or the planets, whether they're royalty or not. So they kept the governments, and then they also inserted their own. So they had to work together in a sense. And so my thing is that was that a planetary security police for a system, a planet, individual, like from, you know, not a part of the empire, or is it imperial security? I am curious. It's like that costume doesn't, or that uniform doesn't make sense when it comes to the Imperials. They're very clean cut, and there's a reason. And yes, I'll say that George did use, like, was influenced by not the Yahtzee costume, the Yahtzee uniforms, how they were clean cut and all this other stuff to create his imps and stuff like that. So I'm very curious. I don't know how it could be 0. Let's see here. I did as well. I don't know why it's reporting as 0. I have no idea. No idea whatsoever. I don't know. Unless it usually updates for me, because I have it opened in my screen. And so it usually updates for me like every few seconds or when someone votes. So I don't know. That is weird. Dicare says, just wish NHL and F1 didn't sell their broadcasting rights to ESPN. I'm doomed with the Hulu plus TV package. That's all what it's about. It's like we evolved from cable TV, satellite TV to now on demand, and now these separate little platform company type companies. So, and Caffeinated Wolf's here. Hello. God, I didn't get a notification. Dang it. Yeah. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you. Yeah. So please make sure you check the bell. Make sure the notification's on if that's what you prefer. And whenever I try to set my streams up the night before or hours before so that you can click on notification as well so that you can be alerted. However, we know YouTube. We know YouTube and their BS sometimes or most of the time. And, they'll demonetize people and you have to fight for it. And they don't give you a clear direction for it. And then when they realize that you do get it back, but then also the time that you're demonetized, what happens to that ad, like the income that could have been made from that and stuff. So there's a lot of questions with that. I have to look up everything and check it out because you never know when this channel is going to go through that, even though, my channel is a lot more mild than a lot of other people's channels, whether, it's, and I'm not saying it in a bad way. It just is. Jackson says, they're talking mistake here. I don't know why. I'll have to maybe I'll have to just refresh that browser and see what's going on here. Let's see here. All right, it's still showing at 0 for Astramax. So I don't know what's going on with that. I can't explain. So go try to vote again if you guys need to see what happens. Refresh your page. Also, HK47 and BD1 are best droids, no contest. Fracture says that sounds fun. Yeah, let's see here. And hello, how are you doing, Marlena? And RC Scott, I am here. Yes, you are. And what's in your mug today? What beverage are you enjoying? I have my standard coffee since that's what this is named after. All right, so let's go ahead and I will go and chat with you guys here pretty soon. I know you guys have a lot to say, but I'm going to go ahead and play the Attack of the Clones scene where Kenobi is at Kamino and he finds out about the droids, or not the droids, sorry, the Clone Wars, the clones, and we'll go with that. Let's see here, share screen. Windows, here we go. Share. Let me see here. I'm just gonna share it like that. I don't feel like messing with anything. The way electronics has been going on with me, like I've been booted out of stuff when I had important meetings to go on with Zoom and stuff like that. It just, electronics are not liking me today, so I'm just gonna keep it like this. So all right, so let me know. I'm going to press play now. Can you guys hear it?
Very impressive. Clones can think creatively. You'll find that
it's a bit low. Let me see. My volume seems low on my side. I don't know why. Did you guys hear it? Let me know. Yeah, I seen it, Caffeinated Wolf. Or heard it. It seems very, very low. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and try that again. When I played it earlier, it wasn't low. So I'm telling you, electronics hate me lately. Let's see here. Stop it. Let's try it again.
very impressive. I'd hoped you would be pleased. Clones can think creatively. will find that they are immensely superior to droids. We take great pride in our combat education and training programs. This group was created about 5 years ago.
You mentioned growth acceleration.
Oh yes, it's essential. Otherwise a mature clone would take a lifetime to grow. Now we can do it in half the time.
I see.
They are totally obedient, taking any order without question. We modified their genetic structure to make them less independent than the original host.
And who was the original host?
A bounty hunter called Jango Fett.
And where is this bounty hunter now?
Oh, we keep him here. Apart from his pay, which is considerable, Fett demanded only one thing: an unaltered clone for himself. Curious, isn't it?
Unaltered?
Pure genetic replication, no tampering with the structure to make it more docile, and no growth acceleration.
I should very much like to meet this Jango Fett.
I would be very happy to arrange it for you.
All right. So sorry that was low. That's just probably how the recording is a little bit. But so we have that. And so when I first viewed or watched Attack of the Clones, I thought that was very interesting how this species of Star Wars was able yeah, I seen I like I said, I'm not gonna try to do that right now. So this species of of aliens in Star Wars were so brilliant and high tech enough to take something and clone them and modify them to make them docile, to make them obey. And so they took everything that like Jango was, because he was very independent. He was a loner. And they took all those traits that did not need to be there so that they can be a dedicated troop or soldier that obeys every single command. And I thought that was brilliant, because it took us out of our world. It took us out of our world and imagined something greater that can happen. And that was the brilliance of the writing here for George Lucas as well. And so later on, when I seen the Clone Wars and learned about the chip and stuff like that, I was like, I just bowed my head and I was like, are you serious? You're taking the brilliance away from these cloners, these species here, and what they could do genetically to modify these individuals. And so to me, that was and then going back and comparing the scene with that, I'm like, they totally broke continuity, or they broke continuity in that aspect. And so yeah, so that discussion was going on today. Let me see here. Let's see here. And takes away any order without question, or takes any order without question. So not just order 66, then any order right there. And that's the thing. There's a contingency that they were programmed. So when you see them with their helmets, let me go back to that. When you see them with their right here with these helmets, that's called flash learning in Star Wars. And so whoever is a clone, they have to go through flash learning. Either it is to put all the experience of the original clone back into them, or something else. And so this flash learning reprograms the brain either to be like their host or be something different. And so this flash learning also then is sharing with them, I guess you could say warfare and stuff, but also the contingency plans, or all the plans, all the orders that they have to know and obey. Order 66 was not just one. There were so many of them. And so with that, they, whatever that order was, they had to obey, whether it was from their generals or commanders or the chancellor himself. And so I thought that was brilliant as well. And you see that throughout the Star Wars lore when you get into the clone lore history, pre-Disney Star Wars. And I thought that was brilliant in itself. Let me see here. And I know you guys are all chatting away here, so I'll randomly go through. Episode 2 is pretty clear about how obedient the clones are bred to be. No chip required yet. Another stupid, needless retcon that takes smart writing and dumbs it down. Yeah. Let me see here. And I'm going to go ahead and scroll up a little bit more. Because I know there were some of you guys were saying stuff. I would give money to EA and Disney if they made a video game that you run a factory that melts down droids. I'd buy DLC where you get to lower them as they scream in pain and horror. All the horror. Awesome. That would be like one of those things when you're frustrated. Put on that game. Like you had a bad day. Maybe traffic was shitty. And you had, road rage or whatever, and you get home and you're like, fuck everything. I'm going to play this droid game. I'm going to melt down some droids. And then just taking out your anger with that. Now, Tuscan Bob, who would you melt? I probably know I probably know, but tell the chat who you would melt down in that game. Let's see here. I think I already read that one. Let's see here. NGB Luke says, the chip plot line is one of the banes of my existence. I know when I announced this and you're like, oh, great, or whatever it was that you said. And I was like laughing. I was like, oh, I get it. James says, at what point in the cloning process do you think the chip was implanted? There's no explanation. That's the thing, because they never did it. Like when you look through the lore, like when you read Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, there's no chip. When you read the Commando series, there's no chip. When you read Order 66, there's no chip. When you read the Republic comics, when it comes to the clones and all that, there's no chip. Because it wasn't a thing. And I remember like 2 years ago, I was in this discussion on Twitter. Man, it's been a while. And someone shared with me a statement that George basically said there's no chip either. So I'm trying to look for that statement that they were genetically altered. So I want to check that out again, because I think it is important. Now, I'm not trying to say appeal to authority, but if that's George's direction as the author of this, or as the creator and the writer of these clones and Attack of the Clone, and he says there's no chip, then I wonder, after the fact, what either changed his mind, or did he know? Because we already established that Filoni did stuff against George's will. Like he pulled the wool over George's eyes many times, and he's admitted it. So I wonder at what point where he just threw up his hands and was like, whatever, or if he didn't know, and then after the fact he's like, what the fuck ever, whatever, and he just let it be. Because George is very passive, very, very passive. If you haven't notice his demeanor and all that, he's very, very passive. Or if he's like, oh yeah, that was brilliant. So, I wonder in point where he either just like threw up his arms or he agreed with it. So yeah. And then Order 66 was just an order in a giant list, correct? And that's what many people don't realize with that. Let's see here. Did I read this one here? Does the female clones have chip too, or is she too good in Filoni's alternate universe? I can give no fucks about that thing. When you do clones and you're making them genetically like except for with some character trait exceptions, and then you're making them genetically just the same. That includes the penis. I'll just said it. It includes the penis. So I think that was just a cop out because they wanted some kind of female. They wanted a female, and hitting that diversity check mark when it comes to the clones. So, and obviously she didn't get a chip because she has free will. There you go. So that's their lore. That's their lore. And Soul Assassin says the Kaminoans were a cloned species too. They cloned, correct. And I wasn't even going to bring that up, but you are correct. They stopped having sex, and mind you, we're going to talk about sex in Star Wars here pretty soon in the cringe factor portion of this show. But they stopped breeding with each other. They stopped having sex with each other and cloned. So they are just like generations of clones. That's all they are. And what fun is that? I mean, I'm sorry. I guess I went there. But a species giving up relationships and the fun way to go about it, I guess you could say. I'm going there. Yes, I'm going there. To be cloned? I don't know. You just have to go dark. The species has to go dark somehow, some way. And the chameleons are very, I would say, kind of dark, cold in a sense because of that. So, Captain Fordo for life. Yes. And let's see, episode 2, pretty clear. Oh yeah, I read that one, and you are correct. All right. What would have happened if a Jedi came up with the combat maneuver called Order 66 and told I love you, Greg. Oh my God. That would have probably wouldn't live to see if they got the maneuver right. That's all I can say is they probably wouldn't have lived to see it. Okay. That's with the chip, obviously, but maybe even with the genetic alterations of the mind. They altered the mind. The body wasn't altered. The body was the same. The Kaminoans, and like I said, I keep on butchering it. They altered the mind. So they went in the brain and to like certain sections of the brain that had emotions, all of that, the various traits, and there's certain sections of the brains, and I wish I could remember that now. Which sections, and they altered them. And I think that's brilliant. More brilliant than adding and inserting a chip. So you would think, and I'm putting our reality in here. So you would think that the body would reject a chip like that, like near the brain. I don't know. But that's just me thinking in more of a common sense perspective. Marlena says, from the wiki, the order preceding Order 66 is Order 65, correct? Which states that the Supreme Chancellor would be removed from office by the Grand Army of the Republic if the Galaxy Senate declares him unfit for duty, correct? And I was going to get to that point here pretty soon, but thank you for bringing that up. I love that you guys know some of your history here in Star Wars and stuff. It's beautiful to see that and create conversation around that. There's many different orders, and Order 65 was basically the removal of the Supreme Chancellor. So imagine that. And this goes into like, okay, so the Jedi must know some of these orders. But I didn't really do, and I should have done this, but I've been so busy the last couple of days. I should have went in to see what orders like Yoda knew about, or who was the one to give the command of Order 65. Because the Chancellor isn't doing that shit, right? So that's very, very, very interesting to think and debate about that. Let's see here. And I'm going to go ahead and check the standings here. Open up, please, of the poll. Let's see here. It says we still have everything and I don't know what's going on with this poll. It says only 4 votes, and I know that there was no 4 votes on this poll, so I don't know why it's showing just 4 votes. So, but it's still 75 for HKs, and IGs is at 20, and Droid Decas and Astromax are at 0. So this poll is basically, it's lying. It's lying. It's not updated yet. So hopefully when I end it, it'll show the true standings. I don't know what's going on. Electronics are bullshit these few days. Let's see here. Phil, how are you doing? And cheers to you. Thank you for coming in. And Marlena says exactly, only the arcs are made independent. Yeah, we have the nulls, which basically were the very first experiment of the arcs. And they were gonna, like, any clone trooper that was a malfunction were destroyed. Imagine that. You have these human clones that basically did not meet all the expectations that they wanted through the genetic alteration. So they would destroy them. And but the nulls was saved by Cal Scarata. So and so they were the very first ones that were deemed unfit, but then Cal basically saved them, and so they were a special ops. And then you have the arcs, who were a little bit more genetically altered than the nulls, and but they had more free will in a sense to help lead the armies and stuff. So I thought that was a very interesting little story plot with them, and character development within the clone troopers. And they were all trained by Mandalorians, and I don't have the name for them, but basically these Mandalorians were the ones that were the non-existent ones. So they went in and they stopped being a part of the greater Mandalorian culture and stuff like that, and they helped train. There's a whole huge lore behind that, with how one group was fiercely trained while another group was I wouldn't say humanely trained or whatever. So there's so much dynamics behind that. The gay butler droid, yeah. Yeah, that would be who? C-3PO, right? You would probably take great pleasure. I could just hear you laughing when that's happening. Stig says, look at the people cheering for Disney Star Wars and the chip, though. You can tell from the get-go that they are at least half retarded. I wouldn't, for those who are still George Lucas era and they like the chip, that's their thing, okay? And I'm not going to say they're retarded or anything like that. That's their thing. All I am asking is for to look at continuity and how it breaks continuity and stuff. Mind you, if you still like it, that's more power to you. Nick says, could the flash learning the children go through all serves as a way to further indoctrinate the clones to make them more malleable to orders and curb their progenitors' independent streak? Yeah, so that in the independent loner streak that was of Django was taken out of, genetically altered. And then the flash learning also indoctrinated and basically them into war, them into obeying, all of that. So it's very interesting. And then all of a sudden, boom, you put a chip. So does that chip mean something happened that wasn't supposed to happen? See, but there's no explanation. There's no explanation to like, oh, we have to insert a chip because somewhere down the line, the chameleons screwed up. And so they had to correct their errors. There's nothing in there to kind of say, hey, this batch going forward, we need to do the chip. There's no story development behind that other than boom, there's a chip. Soul Assassin says the chips are pointless, just Filoni dumbing down Star Wars. Obi-Wan, that's why I'm here. Let's see here. Holocron Library Fox, hello. Let me see here. All right. And I want to get this before I read the other comments here, but thank you so much, Big Raj, for your Canadian $1.99 super sticker. I appreciate your support as well, as always, on time. Thank you so much for your continued support. Yeah, and then let me go ahead and take this off here. But this is pretty neat. I want to bring up another picture here on this that I thought it was fascinating here. Let me see if I can. And so we have all these like these the cloning tubes here, you know, babies, and you know how they grow and all this other stuff. And so again, like when I first watched this, I was like, holy shit, can our own human society reach this point of cloning like this, and will we accept it? You know, you know, and you know, so to me, I would be against like cloning in a sense, but then maybe like cloning someone's like organs, if you're into like if you need a transplant anywhere, I think that's okay. But just imagine if our society reached this point where we cloned each other, like the chameleonians. I can't even friggin' say their friggin' name, but yeah, chameleonians or camino only. I'm done with their name. All right. Let's see here. Okay, so but I'm going to go ahead and bring up another thing here that I wanted to bring up. So let me take this down here. Let's take a drink. All right. Stop sharing. All right. Yeah, so the clone troopers, like, I don't know how many of you guys have read like any of the novels, like Dark Lord, Rise of Darth Vader, where it has Salvo basically like stunned that this command came out and that he has to follow it. And he gave his general a chance to flee, but telling him that if we come across you again, we have to kill. But they also got news that majority of the clones killed their Jedi. And so it wasn't a widespread thing for these clones to not take orders, but it was known that there was individuals that didn't take the order. And so then Vader ended up hunting them down. So it just added to the drama of the story. It really, really did. And then you have the Order 66 novel, which I shared someone's review of it on Twitter. I think it was Nazo's. And then you also have the Commando series, and then you have the games. I think it was Battlefront 2, I think you guys said. Like I said, I'm not privy to the games, exactly what the names are. And so I'm going to pull up a conversation and we'll go through that. And then maybe I'll play a couple of your guys' videos that you shared with me on your favorite stories of the clones here. But let me go ahead and get to these chats here. Holocron says the chips were just like the midi-chlorians. They gave you an easy handle on a far more complex matter. I don't know. That's something good to debate, because I partly disagree with you. The chip changed a lot. The midichlorians did not. The midichlorians explained a little bit, gave us a little bit how the force works through a species' body, whereas the chips altered how the clones responded and basically took the brilliance away from the chameleonians. I swear to God, I will freaking get that right one of these days. So that's something to debate. So you guys, that would be a good conversation to have, like maybe in my YouTube community chat there, so we could, discuss that and the dynamics about that, and how, and everybody's going to have their own opinion, their own take on that. That is a good topic. George equal Darth Plagueis, Filoni equal Darth Sidious. I don't know. Maybe because he is destroying. I don't know. Let's see. Jackson says in the Lost mission with Fives, I'm pretty sure it was the end of the third phase, whenever it was. Oh, when they inserted the chip, and that's the thing. I didn't get when that was, because it basically all of a sudden there's a chip. All of a sudden there's a chip. Ooh, Laura used a gamer word. I guess I did. Okay, I'm here. Have we got the part to where all the clones are bisexual? Laugh out loud. Slightly hinted on the Republic Commando novels. Yeah, so there's that. And they had relationships. Some of them had families, end up having families. Cal Scarada basically was basically created underground for the clones that didn't wanted to just leave and start anew. They even hunted down, was it Lamasu that they hunted down for to help with the aging process, I believe, and that they end up, she did do some work, and then but she didn't fully complete it, and eventually she was captured, did some work, and then killed and stuff. So there's a whole story behind that if you guys don't know about that. Very interesting as well. But Cal Scarada is the one that adopted all of his null arcs, and then also offered sanctuary on Mandalore for those clones who wanted to get away from it and start anew. And so very interesting. Sex in Star Wars. Where's my Night Sisters harem? Yeah, this thing here, my poll has not, still showing at 4 votes. Get in your votes, you guys. I don't know why it's still sharing just 4 votes on it. I have no idea what's going on. It never does that. It usually just refreshes all the time. It's still sharing 4 votes, all of that. I don't know why. I don't know why. Let's see here. I don't know why, but get your votes in, and hopefully we'll get a after I end it in about another 15 minutes, we'll get the true standings on who voted for what and who's the clear winner from that. I don't know why it's being weird. It's crazy. Here for the cringe factor portion of the show. Do you have your drink? All right, so let's go ahead. We're coming up on the top of the hour here pretty soon, so I'm going to go ahead and just pull another thing up here real quick. Like, let me see, is it? Nope. Okay, Laura, get out of there. I'm telling you, electronics don't like me these days. I'll get that one out of my way. And let's see here. All right. Share screen. They need like share screen kind of music. Cancel. I don't want that there. I need to go ahead and just separate this window. There we go. Awesome. All right. You can hear my mouse. I need to get a pad for this mouse here. I wish I can zoom in. Okay. All right. Told you today's a laid back day. I feel so laid back right now, you guys, and just cozy and what have you. So here's this conversation here. And this is what brought up the topic here is controversial opinion. And it is, because that's why we're debating this. And that's why you always have conversation all the time about this, is that it is very controversial. The inhibitor chip brings the cause of the clones following Order 66 was a good change, because there's no way in hell I will ever accept that Cody blindly followed an order to kill Obi-Wan Kenobi on his own. He was by the book, but that was his friend. So let's get into the friend portion of this here. Before we move on to sex and Star Wars. Before we get into the nitty-gritty of sex and Star Wars. So his thing is, he can't believe that the brilliance of the Cameonians would still have them obey their command. And he thinks that, you know, the chip would be a way to sway Cody. So you can't have that. That means that a character that people like could have chosen not to follow the order. That goes into what we're talking about right here. Yeah, so he thinks that it's not believable for a clone who is genetic, or clones that are genetically altered, to not follow them when it comes to their friends, the Jedi. Mind you, when you get into the Commando series and into the clone lore, you find out that some of them didn't hold their Jedi in high regards or as friends. There's a whole mixed bag of that, but the tragedy with the clones is no matter what, if they were close to their general or their commander, Jedi are not, they still followed their orders. Yeah, they might have questioned in their head in quiet, which we do hear like from some confessions of the clones in the lore, that they questioned it in their head, but they still followed orders. That it was dark for them, but they still followed orders because that's what they were there for. That's what they were trained for. And that's what they were altered for. And to see Cody follow orders, he's not the one that was shooting. He just basically commanded them. If you go back and watch that scene. And they went after Kenobi. And so that's what makes it very tragic. Very tragic. Yeah, he had respect for his general. He followed the commands like he's supposed to because that's what he was designed for. Okay, let me see what you guys have to say. Cody is by the book's trooper. Oh, okay. So why would he then have a problem with Order 66? Would he, I agree. So if he is by the books, then that's a no problem. That's a no-brainer for him. He's going to follow the order. And really, because Kenobi didn't care at all for the clones, not even Cody. They could die and he wouldn't care as much. Yeah. And he had respect for them and stuff. And there's scenes where, you know, was it him or was it Skywalker that was like, you guys need common names? I forget now. In the Republic comics, if you read that, I don't recall which one it was. But yeah, you're right. To a point there, they were just companions in war, I guess you could say. And he knew exactly what they were bred for. So, and then plus he was always the one to learn to let go. As a Jedi, you have to learn to let go. And so, yeah, so that goes all into that. Lady of Iron, hello. It's Maureen Scorch from Data Squad in Bad Batch. Okay, I haven't watched Bad Batch, so yeah. So so you might have a point there. Let me see, that's to you guys' conversation. Whoops. It jumped on me. Originally, Cody was only commanded by Kenobi for the invasion of Utapau. Yeah. Utapau. I did enjoy them executing Krill as the good guys, then eventually executed them later as bad guys. Yeah, you plot twist. Subverting expectations right there, right? And Soul Assassin says, the dude can't believe Cody would shoot. Wait till he learns what happens to clones who die. They get recycled for other clones. And there's that too, but I'm not going to go into the dark side of that. Let's see here. It was shown plainly in the movies. They are doing their jobs so we can do ours. Correct. And again, there was no intention in Revenge of the Sith for clone chip. The intention of it was set in Attack of the Clone. Gordon says one can still like Commander Cody after him doing a bad, quote unquote, bad thing. Just be a little more mature. Yeah. Let's see here. If the chip forced the clones to kill Jedi, why did they attack Ahsoka? Why did they attack Ahsoka? It was made clear that she was not a Jedi many times, and I pointed that out, James Unchained, when Clone Wars, I think it's season 7, when they got to the Order 66 parts, which did a lot of damage to the movie. But I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to discuss that right now. Yeah, she's not a Jedi. So that didn't make sense in a way. She had long left. And so my thing with the chip, how do they distinguish between a Force user and a Jedi then? Let's see here. I was the one who wanted the clones to be independent. They had some sort of independence in a way, but not like how Jango's, they didn't have Jango's independence. And after Order 666 happened, a lot of then we have them defecting and Cal Skirata taking some in and having them start a new lives and trying to, stop the aging process and all this other stuff. They started becoming more independent. They didn't have to, be soldiers anymore, which is crazy dynamic to think about since you were bred to do that. Tuscan says, you're asking TCW fans to be mature. And then GB Luke says, I think the problem is that a lot of TC fans can't accept the clones would do this now because they like them as characters. If Filoni's syndrome, it's Filoni syndrome. It's why he can't let go of Ahsoka as a character. There you go. He bred the same type of people that he is when it comes to his character. Mind you could still like you could still like the clones. You could still like Cody, but you got to understand the greater character or the greater cause of what these clones really are. And you have to, and it's very tragic in a sense, because you're going after a droid army with these altered human beings. And so it's very, very tragic. And then Nick says, I always saw Obi-Wan as a commander who cared about his men, but was able to keep perspective and distance himself when the mission was on. He doesn't like it, but he's a Jedi master for a reason. And he is, I guess you could say, kind of like the Jedi. He learned to let go. Even with Anakin, he learned to let go. He did, have emotional stuff afterwards, as you read Kenobi novel, if you read that. But he learned to let go. That's what the attachment part of the Star Wars lore is about, is learning to let things happen and accepting it and moving on, even if you have to deal with it in your mind a little bit. Never let it overrun you. Never let it overrun you. Let's see here. James says, exactly how do you distinguish that's why the chip never made sense to me. Right. It's like, you're true. That's true. That's all I gotta say. That's true. And then, yes, you guys. So I love that Soul Assassin, the great moderator here. Check out the fan-made audiobook for Republic Commando. I think I've been chatting back and forth with a lot of these creators that are doing the audible of these books that are unabridged and stuff. Amazing stuff. Maybe I'll be able to bring them on and for talking to EU and having a conversation with them on that. Caffeinated Wolf says, was it because she was a Jedi at one point? I've only seen the first season of the Clone Wars, so that gap in my knowledge, but I do know that Ahsoka never became a full Jedi. Yeah, she was, I wouldn't say exiled, but she decided to leave after events happened, and Barriss Offee basically, bombed the the temple, which another bad character assassination by Filoni. And they had trial. They decided to say, hey, come back if you want. And she's like, nope. So she basically left the order. She didn't complete her training. She didn't become a full Jedi, basically a knight. She turned her back, even said she wasn't a Jedi countless times. But then, yeah, it still ended up working with Anakin, still being, which didn't make sense, still being in command of part of the 501st or Skywalker's command. So that was really odd to me. If she's not a Jedi, she's not a part of the order, why would, and even Mace even said, you're not a Jedi, you need to leave, which I thought, I'm like, yeah, but that's me. So that to me didn't make sense. That was very odd how Filoni placed her. Not a Jedi, but still can be involved in the order and lead some troops and what have you. So then the question still remains, how do they distinguish? You know, so yeah, because she's not a Jedi whatsoever. All right, they didn't have the distinguished thoughts, or they don't have the distinguished thoughts. In Disney Comics, a Jedi tells the clones to execute for Order 66 when the Inquisitors were around and the clones attack. Completely insane writing. Wow. So why didn't they attack Anakin after he took lead of... See, that's the thing. Is there an off button for Order 66 in Disney Star Wars so that Anakin didn't get shot down when he went and took his command to siege the temple? And they were executing Jedi? And here he is a Jedi? And why didn't some of them not execute Sidious then, if there's no distinguish between them? Holy crap. What? Okay, we just gotta laugh at this shit. Okay, we just gotta laugh at this fucking crazy shit. All right. Caffeinated Wolf says Kenobi is as perfect, quote unquote, perfect as a Jedi could be considered in the era that he was around. Correct. And he still had faults. He still have faults. And then Jaluk, hello all. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. And what's in your mug? What beverage are you enjoying? Anakin Skywalker says, I don't understand why everyone says that all the clones need to be actual characters. I always thought they were fine the way they were portrayed in the film. Correct. But once they were quote unquote humanized, it kind of gave more to the tragedy of them. And I get like how some of the creators were going with on that. And, in developing them as that. But we got to remember, they were bred specifically for war, to take orders. Let's see here. David says, from Anakin and Shmi's conversation in Phantom Menace, it was implied that the location of the inhibitor chip was unknown to the user, just the person who implanted it. What? There was no chip involved, conversation involved with the chip in the Phantom Menace. Or are you talking about her chip, her slave chip? That is, if you're talking about like the slave chip, that if she decides to flee, Watto can set it off and kill her. Basically, it explodes and she's gone. So that has nothing to do with the clone chips whatsoever. Tuscan says, what's weirder about all this is that the same people who defend their precious TCW characters think it's brilliant that Luke becomes a loser and Kenobi spends 10 years being a loser after Revenge of the Sith. I know. It's just like this. They don't think. They don't think. They just consume. That's how I see it. Oh God, that Barris Offie Twitter statement. She's not from Earth. She's in Star Wars, correct? I know what you're talking about. You were watching my conversation with that. Apparently, a Muslim wants to do her backstory and make it a redeeming one because she's coded Muslim. But that's all I'm going to say. Gordon says Barris bombed the what? What? Yeah. So in the Clone Wars, and Barris Offie, she's like one of the most like open Jedi. You could see she's a healer. She's about peace. She's about healing. She's about, she's very different than a basic warrior base Jedi. So there's layman terms here. She's a healer. And that's what she spent most of her time doing, is healing Jedi, healing even some clones, healing others that were victims of the war as well. So she was a healer. And then all of a sudden, in the Clone Wars, Filoni de-ages her to be Ahsoka's age, and she's around the same age as Anakin, I believe. A lot older. And she was a Jedi Knight by that time. And then she became a Padawan again. And all of a sudden, she's the one that bombs. Because something went wrong in her head. And she had to prove that the Jedi were going the wrong way, the wrong direction. And she bombed and blamed it on Ahsoka. There you go. So there you go. Sorry to break your heart on that. Tescom Bob says, I think the Ahsoka argument isn't very strong. The clones could have still perceived her to be part of the Jedi, even though she is an official. And that's the thing too. It's that's what I question. So how do they distinguish? So, and I get what you're saying too. So how do they distinguish between, or do they not? Because Anakin, they didn't go against Anakin. So that's kind of weird. So you go to that, you compare, and you wonder how do they distinguish then if they don't go after Anakin, but they go after Ahsoka? So the clones have midichlorian midichlorian detection. I don't know. All right. Yeah. So my community page, we can discuss a lot on there. And again, be a part of it. You can share your favorite characters. You can bring up a topic of discussion that you to get people involved with. That's what it's about. Sharing George Lucas era Star Wars, no matter which era you like. We can, talk, discuss, share, nerd out together. That's what it's about. And some of you guys inspired me for topics as well when you guys start posting things and doing what ifs and all this other stuff. So you guys, it's an amazing little community. Nick says, Filoni lost all respect from me after what he did to Barriss. Still have a crick in my neck from the heel face whiplash. Wow, all this time, huh? Yeah, that was it. It just proves, like, we already knew when he mistakenly misjudged a character on their uniform and stuff as well, that he doesn't pay attention to the EU. He just, this is a good character, I'm going to use them, but disregards their background story. The more I hear about TCW, the more I want to avoid it all. Yeah. Wow, that's ass. I don't know what you're talking about. Probably about Barriss. Barriss Offie. What do you mean perceive? The clones were bred to follow law and order. Yeah, they do. So it must be a feature of the magic bullet chip. You guys are funny. All right, you guys. So this is that, like I said, this is the conversation that, went through, and some of the conversations within this, and I want to get into the other topic here pretty soon. And I don't know why my little scroll thing is not working. Here we go. So it just amazes me on some people how they can, what they think, and they forget that my main point here, I'm not going to really read none of them, any of them. My main point is that when people talk about the chip, that it makes them obey without question, they seem to forget that these clones were genetically altered for that. And that's another thing I've been pointing out, that they were genetically altered for that. And that's what makes it more tragic. Let me see here. I'm going to go ahead and hide that or stop sharing. Yeah, so it makes them more tragic. Let's see here. And yeah, the Barriss thing is so dumb. It is. She's such a beautiful character. So much, lore behind her and what she did for the time frame that we get to see her. I'm going to go ahead, and if you guys didn't vote, get a vote in. Hopefully by the time I end this, so I'll give you another minute. I'm going to end the poll here in a minute, and then we'll go to our next topic. Tuscan Bob says, the fact that the Jedi even used programmed human life as meat shield slaves is a prime example of how they lost their way. Just ends justify the mean. Yeah. And I was in debate about that. They were basically, they thought it was they used it as a means to bring about peace. And so that's what makes the Jedi like losing their way tragic as well. Palpatine, like when you get into the lore, the Sith atones for 1,000 years. During that time, they went about and they studied the Jedi. They learned more about the Jedi. What makes them tick? What will make them respond? And by the time Sidious took the realm, he created the most successful revenge the Sith has ever done, I would say. Because the fact that the Sith that came before him studied the Jedi, and then he went and studied the Sith as well before he became a Sith, and then eventually became one. He had all this knowledge, and he was very tactical, manipulative, brilliant in his own sense, that everything that he put down and laid out for both sides of the war, no matter which one would succeed, would end the Jedi. Brilliant. He used the Jedi ways against them. Brilliant. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Whoops. Let's see here. End poll. Let's see what happens here. Hopefully. Okay, so it did come out. So Astromax, 45%. HK series, 31. IG series, 13. And Droidicas is at 9%. So there you go. So it wasn't refreshing on my end like it normally does, but it did show the standings. Thank God, because I was going to be so frustrated here because, you guys put in the efforts to share your favorite droids to come up with the top 4. So thank you guys for participating in that. And maybe I'll do something like that again. That was fun. You guys sharing your favorites, and I took the tops out of what everybody shared for the top 4. So there you go. Thank you guys. Thank you. David says, I guess I misunderstood. I thought the chip the clones had was the same thing as the save chip Shmi had. No, it's very different. Maybe almost the same type of concept. I don't know. But yeah, they're very different. They are different. Just making the clones more relatable, Tuscan Bob says, and quote unquote quote human fails to address the massive ethical dilemma, and is a major miss. And then Gordon, Godbrother, says it's pro-clone propaganda. The clones can't be wrong. So tragic. I love your guys' opinions here and stuff. Is genocide okay if it leads to peace? And that's the thing, the Jedi were basically almost fighting all droids. And to them, droids, they weren't human. They weren't sentient. So it was okay to them, I guess you could say. So, a lot of I wouldn't say conflicting things, but a lot of things that the Jedi thought were okay and maybe weren't because of their ideology, I guess you could say. So kind of a compelling story, tragic story on that end too as well. Let's see here. David says, this is off topic. I shared a picture of Andor security police on Twitter. Really? Did you tag me in it? I want to see. If you tagged me in it, I can share, or at least I can see. Let's see here. I'll look it up in a little bit, but yeah, I just watched one review of Andor and I'm like, I'm done. My stories will always be like Dark Forces, and even a part of Han Solo trilogy where Bria is the one that helps with getting another portion of the plans. The main one is Kyle. So yeah, so those are my stories there. Yeah, those are my stories there. and the way they seem like they're going, like, okay, so I did post a topic about, like, because they use the word shit in Star Wars. Okay, so we know that they do use common words like hell and damn. That's been used before. But when you know that the lore, and I'm not nitpicking, I'm just saying I would have been more impressed if they went ahead and used something that was already established, which, them, they're not going to. But I would just at least have been like, okay, all right, that's cool. I gave them that, they use the word shit instead of like another common like Star Wars-ish type of word that you hear. Like I use example fearfic, like, oh, fearfic or something like that. Just to kind of, give us an in-world experience and how they would cuss and the words they would use and stuff. So like I said, don't say, oh, because they use the word shit, oh, so it's bad, they're breaking lore. No, that's a little bit too nitpicky for me. But however, like I said, I would have been more impressed if they would have used slang words and Star Wars cuss words rather than our world. That would have been like, I'd be like, okay, all right, I give them that kind of deal. Because people will come back and say, well, they've used hell, or they use this, or they use that. So, pick your battles wisely. Yeah, criffing would have been better. Yeah, criffing. Oh, I have to go back and listen to it. I just threw out the word fearfic because that's just something that came to my mind first. But, it still covers my point there. And you have poodoo, and then nerf herd is kind of like an insult, maybe like, you scruffy looking nerf herd, or you common man kind of deal, and, whatever. So it just leaves the, to the imagination here. Jedi, miss us with these droids. Yeah. Let's see here. It's the reasoning behind the usage. It's just to be faux edgy. Correct. I know. But it'd been more interesting if they would have used, and I understand that. Hey, Matt Wilkins, Andor, do Ewoks live there? Oh my God, he comes in with that. Yeah, you got Endor and Ewoks and Andor and Ewoks. Yeah, nerfs are a species in Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah. And then, whoopsie, we have Ichuta, correct? And certainly not as bad as the F-bomb modern Trek. Oh. Wow. And I haven't been, like I said, I'm like a total casual when it comes to Trek, so I wouldn't have known. But you get what I'm saying then. Would you watch it if they did, Matt Wilkins? So there's a question for you. Andor and or. Oh, there you go. He comes busting with that. Let's see here. I could go for a Nerf burger right now. Yeah. And some Hubba chips. Was it Hubba? Hubba chips or Hubba fries? God, we got to talk like Star Wars slang and Star Wars food. That would be fun. But then we'd be hungry afterwards. But that would be fun. Let's see here. Admiral Sheer fucking Hubris is a character in Percar. I actually use creeping in my normal day to day. Yeah, I need to just go ahead and just get familiar with using those words and use them when I do coffee chat and stuff. That would be fun. Get into the slang of things. I drink, therefore I am at Joe OG Star Wars. Hey, how are you doing? Okay, so everybody, grab your drinks. We are gonna talk about sex in Star Wars here, and check out this article. And this article has another, where did it go? Oh, I think I put it over here. And this article also has something that they seem to keep consistent with their lore, but I'm not going to say what it is. So I'll keep you guys questioning or wondering what I'm talking about. So I'm going to pull up the article here. I'm just trying to get it to a nice size so I can see all of my screens here. Close that out. There we go. Close that out. Yeah. But question, does Andor have Ewoks? Ewoks. I like Ewoks better, not Ewoks. That kind of sounds weird. Sounds very, very weird. And then Shuta is another one, basically calling a woman a slut. Yes. Yes. There we go. And then oh my, the S word. Yeah. Sex in Star Wars. I'm going to Zeltros. Anyone need a ride there? And we're going to go through that because it's so hilarious how this article is like, Andor is going to bring blah, blah, blah. So let me go ahead and pull up the article so you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's see here. And this is where the fun begins. I need to do a basic clip on that so I can share that. I need to make a, a transition clip of when we get into cringe factor, because that'll be fun. You guys know exactly what's going on. So I need to do a clip on that. And I use the word transition. Oh my God. But anyways, so here it is. Let me get Soul Assassin out of the way here. Okay. Damn, Soul Assassin just always in the way. I'm joking. Thank you again for being a wonderful, awesome, amazing moderator. All right, so this is it. Andor will be the first Star Wars project to acknowledge sex in the galaxy far, far away. All right, my lovely EU enthusiasts, share with me scenes that alluded to sex. Because we all know that it happened in Star Wars. So go ahead and share. Someone needs to tell this author where kids come from. Exactly. And this is the cringe factor, you guys. We are now in the cringe factor. Now, another point that I wanted to make is in this article here, so we'll get to that as well. So I'm going to see what you guys are going to say here first. The first, I remember Caden Darth Talon. There you go. Caffeinated, I'm pretty sure, just by the way, Padme being pregnant, that sex was implied, right? Bathapudu, correct? Let's see here. Yes, there was a brothel in the first episode of Andor. Yes, I seen that. I'm kind of aware of that. People are talking about that. That's one of the things that I see a lot when people are talking is the brothel. And I'm like, really? Well, that's not uncommon, because if you get into the Republic comics, when Ayla basically is drugged and her mind, like she's given so much spice that her mind is erased in a sense. And she's working in her own planet's type of brothel kind of place. So I would say go look that up. That's not uncommon to Star Wars, but yeah. And Twi'leks were captured and used as sex slaves in a sense, put in brothels basically in Star Wars. It may not particularly be called a brothel, but if you know the lore, you would know that's exactly what's going on there. Let's see here. The EU had stories like that, but they were rare, correct? Well, we knew like the Twi'leks were enslaved as pleasure, basically. Yeah. And then James Unchained, keeping with Attack of the Clones theme, the scene where Anakin and Padme had dinner, George Lucas said that dress was designed and was supposed to be erotic, right? So erotic is a type of like visual kind of sexual kind of connotation. There you go. And let's see here. Orange Hat Review says, I don't know. The GT Clone Wars scenes with the sensual dance for Anakin, him coming back to her and a light turning off. Even Filoni Wars, they had alluded to sexual reunion. This guy is an idiot. And then Gordon says, the living room scenes where Anakin tells Padme that being near her was agonizing. Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was very hard and agonizing for her. Sorry, I'm just having too much fun with this. Mandalorian had brothel tokens. Jabba sent Leia to Boba's quarters for evening fun But he refused that thought and let her sleep in his bed while he slept on a chair. Correct. I just love how you guys recalling all this. That's why I wanted to have you guys a movie about space wizards intended for kids, right? And Gordon says when Han told Leia he could arrange for her to get a Wookiee kiss. And let's see, Tuscan says they only showed Padme and Anakin in bed together. I guess they were just having a Michael Jackson style. Sleepover. That's ignorant. Oh my God. Oh, what time is it? Okay, we're good. I have a hair appointment at 11:30, so we're staying within 2 hours, or maybe going just over a little tiny bit. Who knows? But yeah, I have a hair appointment. Gordon says the bustier was banging pew pew. A corset, yeah. I noticed the community post about Stackpole being at my local convention. What do you do about creators of classic content that have gone absolutely Barbie to the point of attacking fans for Disney Lucasfilm Creed? I lose respect for them because I never did it before. Even when fans were disagreeing with the direction they took a character or a decision that basically was all George Lucas's decision, but the author still got hell for it. And they stayed mature about it. They kept their composure. So see how the times change? So I do lose respect for them in a way. I still love what they did and what they contribute, and I give them respect for that. But when it comes to human decency, I lose respect for them. How obvious do we have to be about sex in the galaxy when Jabba literally has his bikini slaves chained to his throne, right? Hard agony. Yes. Sorry, I was just cracking up about that. Padme's Naboobies were antagonizing for Anakin. Jeez, yep. Could have sworn Luke wanted to get it on with Force Ghost wife. Even Ben knew to give him privacy at the end of the book. Correct. That's another one too. It's like he finally got, to see Mara as a Force Ghost, and they finally got to walk together on Endor. I believe they were on Endor. All that. Let's see here. I wasn't a fan of the choker, but yeah, Padme's bustier was a chef's kiss. There you go. Yeah. There you go. So visuals, there's sexual visuals, all of that. So let's get into this article here. All right. So this is by Josh Weiss. Tony Gilroy isn't pulling any punches with his Rogue One prequel. Okay, so those who've seen it, what did you guys think about that? I probably already know but I'm just asking. And our creator, Tony Gilroy, isn't pulling any punches with his Rogue One prequel series, a riot, blah, blah, blah. He set out to make Lucasfilm project for adults. Oh, good. You guys can now say, oh, it's made for adults, which we knew it was made for all ages. And that's exactly what he did, including mature elements and themes audiences haven't quite seen in a galaxy far, far away up to this point. Really? This really shares with me that Tony Gilroy has no fuck what he is talking about or creating. And even, I wouldn't say this article person because he's just alluding on to what Tony has given him. I don't think he is knowledgeable about Star Wars whatsoever if he thinks that Star Wars didn't give adult content. Now, do those people who like or want to watch the Andor series have yet to see a full-on sex scene? I don't know. Star Wars really never gave us that, but it led up to it. And one example was Tatooine Ghost. After they settled down into the hotel area, I think it's the Luke's old farm that was turned into a hotel, basically, and by the Darklighters. And Han is, hooked into the IV, hydrating, whatever. Leia is listening to her grandma's hollow journal, and Han beckons for her to come to the room to remove the IV. And she's like, why? And he's like, it might get in the way, kind of deal. And he's like rubbing and this description of it in the novel, he's like rubbing her hands up and down her back. Basically, he's touching her up and all this other stuff. And then the scene cuts out after like a nice little like graphic scene of what's yet to come. They wake up and he's like, nestled in her hair, blah, blah, blah. That sex happened. So, all right. In fact, the very first episode, and this is basically, and I imagine that scene is when she conceived the twins. So there you go. In fact, the very first episode begins with a trip to a brothel, and that's what you guys were discussing, and a no doubt about it acknowledgement of the fact that people actually do it. Really. I just talked about the leading couple in Star Wars conceiving their twins, basically. Shall we say in Star Wars universe? That's right, Andor contains sex, or at least an overt implication of the sensual deed. I think the movies, the prequel, basically alluded to that already, which makes the show an absolute game changer for the nearly 50 years old franchise, and even Han kissing Leia in Empire Strikes Back is leading up to the fact that they're building up to the relationship and all that. But when the Oscar nominated writer behind Michael Clayton and the Blarm Turtle, blah blah blah, brings his sensibilities to the table, how can you possibly say no? Again, Tony has never gone into Star Wars or done his research when it comes to sex in the universe. He didn't even watch the PT to realize that the deed has to happen for someone to be pregnant of the twins. It sure is a good tell when you turn in that first episode for them to say, whoa, okay, this is what the show's going to be like. It was a marker. But it's also good for the story. It served double duty, he recalled, having a blue sky conversation with Lucasfilm head honcho Kathleen Kennedy. Oh my God, I thought she was out. I thought she wasn't doing any more shows. What the fuck? I was told wrong. I mean, oh my God, I was made to think that Kathleen was still a part or was gone, that she was on her way out, that she has nothing to do with these shows. I'm pissed now. I want my money back. Damn YouTubers. All right. Probing her with questions. Probing her. Jeez. With questions about what he could and couldn't do with the beloved sci-fi saga. Well, obviously he can do any damn shit and break continuity because we already know that with the Disney trilogy. So there's no guidelines. There's like, do whatever. Basically, do whatever. The galaxy is just enormous. There's billions of creatures that are living their lives. And so far, the narrative has been focused on singular groups of people. No shit, humans, which you still see humans in the series in a centralized storyline. It just seemed like an infinite possibilities to take it now away from that. They're not, because they're still going to go into the same rebellion. Mon Mothma is part of the same group that you see in Rebels. All right. And this Andor, from my research, is about 5 BBY, which that's when Rebels cartoon begins. So basically, they're now side by side in tandem with each other on that. Picking up 5 years before the eventual suicide mission that will land Death Star blueprints into the hands of the shaky Rebel Alliance. Andor tracks the rise of its tutorial, protagonist Cassian Andor, from common thief to hardened resistance spy. All right, so yeah. Anyways, war is coming, he says. Gilroy says the stories and characters are meant to be ground level. Well, no shit. We already get a fabulous stories like we get in the EU, how Wedge become part of the Alliance, how Kyle steals the Death Star plans, and how that led him into from an Imperial officer, like high in his rank, to become a rebel by the loss of his dad. who was a rebel sympathizer and also a leader. That's a phenomenal story in itself. So you're basically telling us another rehash of something that already happened, but through Andor. Let's see here. Let's see where I want to pick up. Fresh is the operative word here. So don't expect to see space wizards, glowing laser swords, or kidnapped princesses. Well, no shit. Well, we already seen that with, Obi-Wan Kenobi series. Yeah. Yeah. If you think about it, most of the beings in the galaxy are not aware of Jedi. Okay, this is what I wanted to pull up here for you guys, and this will be the end of it. So, remember the Disney trilogy saying Jedi are a myth because the time gap of like 25 years, even though Luke came, declared himself a Jedi, and started searching the galaxy, even in their lore, started searching the galaxy for potential Jedi and archives and stuff so he could establish the order again. Okay, if you think about it, most of the beings in the galaxy are not aware of the Jedi and have never seen a lightsaber. That topic and the Star Wars royal family, there was never a fucking royal family, have been chewed on for a long time. It's like there's a restaurant and we're in the kitchen. This is what's going on underneath the other stuff. So again, the Jedi are going to be a myth, and the galaxy is not going to be aware of lightsabers, even though the purge happened, even though a lot of the people in this time frame, has aged from the Clone Wars, but has witnessed the Clone Wars, has witnessed, like, even seeing the most heroic poster boys, Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Anakin Skywalker, being broadcasted and what have you. Even though then the propaganda of the Jedi turning against the Republic, orchestrated by Palpatine and sent out to the general public, yet no one is aware of the Jedi. And yet it was illegal during the time to obtain a lightsaber, but yet these images of these heroes and now turned villains will probably be displayed with, a lightsaber. A lightsaber is one of the common weapon uses. And you also have inquisitors looking for Jedi who use lightsabers. So we're going to probably go down that path again, or they are, not me, because I could care less. So let me see what you guys have to say. Common thief, maybe you count stealing lives. He's a killer. And like I said, I'd never seen that. And I heard that he was killing, like it was okay for him to kill, but it wasn't okay to investigate, as someone said about that. And I don't know exactly what kind of plot they're alluding to because I'd never seen it. But people are questioning a lot of the writing in there that I noticed on Twitter. And I haven't, like I said, I don't know what's going on. I can care less, but that's caught my attention. Caffeinated Wolf says, all Disney has been doing is taking EU characters and plots, changing the names, and then making a Dollar General version of them. Zero creativity. I agree. Let's see here. I hate the in-story Jedi mystification by Disney. The Disney shills. Yeah, it's crazy because, again, like 14 years is a very short time frame. And you can even say less than that because, like few years after the purge, there's still going to be a lot of propaganda going out about villainizing the Jedi and hunting any remaining Jedi down. I don't think these guys, no, I don't think. I know they don't think. I know they don't think about they don't think about the, about time and what happens in the events and how propaganda is used over time in such a way to make heroes into villains and stuff. And that still puts the Jedi in front of people. I gotcha. Tuscan says, now that Star Wars has acknowledged that sex is a thing, I look forward to seeing what they do with those modification parlors from Tatooine. Oh my God. They're going to have like, I transitioned. I was once a boy. Now I'm a girl. Oh yeah. Here we go. Brace yourselves, you guys. So if you guys are on the fence and still kind of keep an eye on and watch Disney stuff, keep an eye on it for that and let me know. Yeah, because I'm happy over here. It's like I'm seeing people talk about Andor and I'm like, no, thank you. It's like, how many times do we have to like keep going through this? Keep repeating ourselves when we realize that it's not worth it anymore. You know, that's my thing. It's not worth it anymore. Not worth it whatsoever. Like I said, there are things I'll acknowledge, like saying, oh yeah, okay, I get it. That's cool. They did that, something cool there. If, like I said, if they would have used Star Wars cuss slang instead of the word shit, I would have been like, okay, I give you that. All right, that's cool. But I wonder how many people would say, oh, they're appropriating that from the EU now. See, we're at that point. It's like there's no matter what, we're not gonna be happy. So just stay in George Lucas era Star Wars. That's all I gotta say. Steven says, oh gosh, sci-fi write this man they used to be cool. Well, after the last Sharknado film, they stopped being cool. It's a tornado with sharks in it. It don't make any sense, but there it is. Yeah, I don't know. Some people love that Sharknado. I'm like, whatever. It doesn't appeal to me. And then I Drink, Therefore I Am says, Andor plays out like a show that writes itself. I just want more K2. Okay, did they have K2 in there? Orange Chat says Robo Diggs. There goes my channel. And my channel. Oh wow. Robo Diggs. Who knows? Yeah, I wonder. Because they already had Lando like fucking a droid. And that's okay. So I didn't even bring that up. This guy doesn't even know the lore. Oh my God, because they already suggested that Lando and that one droid from that solo Star Wars show movie or whatever, that they were already having sex. Oh my God, this person is not aware of the property he's supposed to be producing for. Tuscan says, they're going to make Mon Mothma backbencher until she gets a modded penis. Oh shit. Then she will ascend to the position of power because patriarchy. Oh, there we go. We have a plot twist right there. Keep an eye out for that, you guys. Greg might be on to something. Keep an eye out for that. All right. So there you guys, there you go, you guys. Here's cringe factor. Sex has always been in Star Wars. We may not have gotten a full-on erotic sex scene. Now, if Andor gives you that, I might just watch that part. I don't know. But then they do. Then they could say, okay, this is the first time ever, right? But Star Wars has always alluded to sex, always given you scenes and suggestions and visuals of like provocative scenes that lead up to thoughts and stuff like that. It always had an element of sex because you need to have that in the show when it comes to generations and stuff, right? And so this person again is unaware of the property he's writing for, has clearly proven he's never been into Star Wars until now. So, and says there is no Disney Lucasfilm Lando in my world. No, there's not. I love the classic Lando, the smooth guy. Let's see here. I've got more important things I could be doing than watching Andor, like walking a hamster. I would love to see that. You and Mary need to like record that. Yeah, that would be fun to watch. See how that goes. Jackson says, I watched the Sharknadoes just to see if I could guess who would get killed off in what order. Just for the violent part, right? The killings. They had the morning after scene with the girl getting dressed afterwards. Yeah. And one of the comics that I shared not too long ago when I said goodnight was Dina Shan. Now, I wish we could have gotten more stories of her because I'm pretty sure they were going to make her a part of the Sean family that you know of in the Old Republic. She is basically, they had just got done having sex. She's still in the sheets. You see her bare back. She's facing the Imperial officer, and he's getting dressed in his uniform. That's a comic. I think we've shared that on Coffee Chat when we're reviewing the comics as well. So there you go. OG, watch the showrunner interviews. Very cringe. Really? See, I didn't even go there either. Other than one. And it's that Imperial officer, the blonde-headed chick, that says, you know, that she basically tears down the patriarchy and blah, blah, blah. So I did see that. That was kind of weird. That's kind of cringe. Tuscan says, you don't believe that a guy would cut off his healthy legs to install a useless pneumatic spike thingy, Soul Assassin? Yeah, there's a character that joins up with Luke and Leia, and this is like months after Yavin, and her name is Dina Shan, and she was I'll text you the comic, and she becomes part of the rebellion, the budding rebellion at the time, and speculation is and are whatever that she was gonna be part of the Sean family. We don't like, yeah. So, but her arc, I believe, wasn't finished fully because of the buyout and stuff like that. So I will get you the name of that comic here within the next few hours, or by tomorrow. Dina Shan, a descendant of Bastilla and Riven, I'm calling it. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what that a lot of fans were hoping to hear, that she was going to be the descendant and stuff like that, but that was never given to us. Yeah. You know, my obsession with that family. I know. And that would have been great. So Greg says, wait a second. If they are just now establishing sex in Star Wars universe, doesn't that erase all the gay characters they have created previously? Ooh, boom, mic drop. Yeah. So, yeah, crazy stuff there. So there you guys go. You know, and again, another person who doesn't know the property they are writing for. And he's so proud of the sex scenes that he has to advertise it and say, it's the first time ever, to get people excited. And here we are here like, oh, what about, you know, the PT? And what about some of these novels you know, read and comics that we've seen that alluded to sex, just like your show is alluding to it? Yeah. So completely, you know, I would say he's a fraud in knowledge if he thinks that this is the first time ever it's being introduced. It's being introduced, a part of the lore. So, all right, you guys, we are coming to a close because I have to get out the door here pretty soon for my hair appointment. And this Saturday at 9 a.m. my time, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, I am interviewing Lance, who is a young EU enthusiast. So come join us for Talking EU on that. I'm very excited about that. And October 8th, I don't have the time in front of me. I forgot. I am interviewing for Talking EU Tad, or Mandalore. So if you guys know who he is, stay tuned for that. That's going to be another great conversation for Talking EU as well. I don't know what's going on with Babe the Menace right now. Respect to Mary and her family in their time of mourning. So stay tuned for that. It might not happen tonight. It might happen in a week or two. I'm just giving her space. We might have it without her. So like I said, I don't know. So stay tuned for that as well. And then this Friday is the spacing on Open Airlock Policies channel, 7:45 my time, Pacific Standard Time, and we do have some topics we're going to be discussing there, so stay tuned for that as well. So thank you guys again for joining in this conversation, Coffee Chat, and you guys, again, go join my YouTube community if you have not as of yet. Feel free to share anything George Lucas era Star Wars there and have fun nerding out and chatting about Star Wars with each other in there. Share like even fan films. Those are amazing as well. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and may the Force be with you.
I have fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure at this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Another happy landing.